Good afternoon, YouTube. I'm here to discuss why there is buzz about a The World Ends With You sequel 7 years after it came out. But to do that, I kind of need to explain it. Alright, so first off, The World Ends With You was debuted in 2007 for the DS. It was designed for Square Enix to test out what the DS can do without possibly damaging any of their current franchises, such as Kingdom Hearts or Final Fantasy. There had been Final Fantasy games on there before, but they just used the bottom screen as a menu. The World Ends With You was a test to see what the bottom screen could actually do, mostly for 358 over 2. Alright, so it came out in 2007. I need to talk about 4 things really quickly so I can move on. The first thing is that 7 days, especially in regards to a countdown, well, number 7 generally, are very, very important. One of the first things you see is Neku receiving a text saying that he has 7 days, and then 7 days appears on a building. It's just kind of all over the place. Second thing is the game aspect known as light pucks, which is just a way for you to get more powerful when you hold it, and it works by working with your partner. The third thing is alternate realities. Most of the time, they described it as being this. Most of the world runs on the RG, or real ground. And then the people who play the game in The World Ends With You run on the UG, or underground. It's like listening to something on 101.1 and then you turn the dial to 101.2. 101.1 is the RG where you get everything pretty clearly, and 101.2 is the UG where things are a little bit different. The last thing is player fees. In order to play the game in The World Ends With You, you actually had to pay whatever you considered most important. It was taken from you before the game started. For Neku, it was kind of his identity. For another character, Rhyme, it was her dreams, which we'll play at point later. Okay, so 2007 came out, released. It did somewhat well, more of a cult classic, you know, lots of praise, not quite enough sales. After that it was quiet. Mostly there was the odd bits and pieces of merchandise, but nothing exciting really. And the composer of the game also has released remix albums under a group called Death March every now and then. Oh, back to number 7. Right. In 2012, 2 things happened. There was a countdown clock for 7 days, which led to The World Ends With You iOS or App Store release for the Apple devices. And at the end, generally it was more or less the same, except they introduced a new Reaper named Coco, which didn't matter that much. But if you beat the game completely, you got a secret ending, which showed a girl standing outside of a tower, and the tower said a new 7 days or another 7 days, something like that. The other thing that happened was Kingdom Hearts 3D was released. That's actually a bit more critical. The first thing is that Kingdom Hearts in general has a lot of Final Fantasy characters. They all work a little bit differently. Rather than Cloud being a clone of Sephiroth, Sephiroth claims he's Cloud's darkness. Vivi is a little bit more weak-willed than what he is normally. Setzer tries to bribe Roxas instead of just actually gambling. It's all stuff like that. Now, to be fair for Setzer, there was another dimension, sort of, where everyone was personalized were kind of exaggerated, so it's not exactly his fault. Alright. So when Kingdom Hearts 3D was released, one of the first trailers actually showed off Neku. He's actually one of the earliest scenes in the game. So there's Neku showing up, and he's the first one to do that. But the other thing is that, unlike the other ones where they're personalized a little bit different, the characters, the World Ends With You characters, Neku, Shiki, Joshua, Rhyme, and Beat, all work pretty much the same as how they did in actual game. It's all the main characters, barring the overarching villains. The other thing is, remember I was going back about how the UG versus RG? I forgot to mention there is the point of alternate dimensions, which play a large part in the World Ends With You story. And then the bonus level at the end of the game, once you beat everything, is playing The World Ends With You in another dimension, where instead of fighting off noise and everything, they're instead playing Tin Pin Slammer. It's actually a lot of fun because it deals with a lot of character exaggerations. But one of the characters, Joshua, can actually flit in between these different dimensions, which is going to go into later. Because of that, Joshua says some lines which implies that he is the actual Joshua of The World Ends With You, not the Kingdom Hearts version counterpart, as in Cloud, Sephiroth, Tifa, Cypher, so on and so forth. Rhyme, who's Ramsfee was her dreams, and Joshua implies that he uses those dreams in order to get everyone over there. And the journal itself also drops some hints that it is actually the characters from The World Ends With You and not any of their counterparts. The final thing, which is actually very interesting, is the sudden use of the light pucks, which appear in one or two cutscenes when Josh was flitting in between Sora's Traverse Town and Riku's Traverse Town. While Joshua himself is not using the light pucks, Neku and Shiki are, and I think Beat and Rhyme are too. In their cutscenes, they're not commented on, but they are using them. Joshua, who can flit in between the dimensions, is actually doing so. So, cut to 2014. It's 7 years after The World Ends With You was released. Remember I was saying about 7? There is the 7th tribute album by Death March. There is a ton of new merchandise coming out of nowhere. And 7 days before the anniversary, which I think is the 26th, there is a cafe in, I actually don't know where, but there is suddenly a cafe where they have new themed food, new merchandise. And then there's the Android port, which is again coming 2 years after the Apple port. Does this mean anything? No idea. I'm going to go with it's odd. I'm hoping very much for a yes, especially with the number 7s keep on popping up and the cafe and the merchandise and the 7th album, and it's looking likely, but I don't know for certain. But if you're wondering why there's suddenly The World Ends With You people talking about it, or why there might be a sequel, it's something to talk about. If the 26th is during Comic-Con, and Tetsuya Nomura, who is one of the main people behind The World Ends With You, will be at Comic-Con, but this is more of a Tokyo Game Show thing, so I don't know if he would actually come. I don't know why he's there, unless it's for something with Kingdom Hearts 2.5, but it doesn't seem like they talk about it at all. Anyway, but that's that. I just wanted to give it out, talk about it a little bit. Alright, bye.